85 Yards, the sports podcast by average fans for average fans, aiming to bring the sports conversations from the bar to your speakers. So raise a glass. Let's get started.
Cheers.
How's your week going, my friend?
The week? It's pretty good. I can't complain too much. Going to a buddy of mine's wedding tomorrow. Shout out to you, Michael and Sierra, if you're listening. Although I think you'll already be married by the time this comes out anyway, so whatever. But so I'm right. Back in Columbus. I know we talked, but today was not the best driving day. So
walk me through that. How long did it take you to get there from Nashville?
Well, usually I can make it in about 5.5, 6 hours generally. Pretty consistently, especially if I leave at the right time. Don't hit traffic coming out of Nashville, hit Louisville and Cincinnati kind of in between rush hour periods, whatever. But I did that today. I was making good time. And then a few miles north of Cincinnati, all of a sudden it just stops and it is completely stopped for 3 miles. And that 3 miles lasted an hour and 15 minutes for me to go 3 miles.
That's it's so close and so far away at the same time.
And it was ridiculous. And I don't know what happened, if there was an accident or whatnot, but when they were detouring everybody off of 71, because they just had 71 closed off for a single exit. So I don't know what happened to cause it, but you get up and they start directing you, to the rightmost lane, and nothing's even there. It's just cops sitting in their cars, blocked off. They're sitting in their cars. They're not out doing anything. They're just sitting there and
they're hanging out.
Get off. And I think luckily I kind of got there, I guess maybe shortly after it happened. But I can only imagine how long people were there. It was ridiculous. Oh. So it turned that into an 8-hour fucking drive.
Yeah, that'll make it. If Wednesday wasn't shitty enough to start, that'll add to it. My week's actually been pretty good. On Labor Day, played in a scramble, nice. 3-on-3 scramble style. Yeah, we ended up winning. We ended up shooting 5 under. We went on we were scrambling for par early. Yeah. We were really kind of saving around the greens and one putting. And so on hole 6, your boy actually sunk a 30-foot putt from off the green on a par 3. That was nice.
Factual 30-foot, or is that eyeball 30-foot?
Oh, it's factual. It was factual every bit.
Measured it from hole to.
It was at least 12 feet off the green. Look, I wouldn't believe me either. But I have witnesses, and they actually, where we were playing, the group in front of us was the first group on the scramble, and they were on the tee box, and they heard the roar from that. So we ended up parring the next 2 holes, and then we went on a birdie streak. So, felt pretty good. I think the team that we played ended up being 1 over. So it wasn't close toward the end. But it was a lot of fun. Did that, hung out. And now trying to get through the week, and bro, it's back. The shield is back. All the waiting, all the difficulty, how long this year is. It's felt like 3 years, but it is back.
It's I was telling somebody yesterday. I was talking to my boss yesterday, and I was we were talking a little bit about football. He's asking how the podcast was going and everything. And I was I really hope Ohio State comes back, but at the very least, we have NFL starting.
Thank
God. Because, dude, I couldn't imagine if it wasn't starting. Imagine if we had to go from February of 2020 to
September of next year.
September of 2021. It would be miserable.
Don't even want to fathom a world that would have to be the case in. And then the ACC, the Big 12 play this weekend, and then next weekend the SEC. Man, it's big. So pretty pumped about all of that. So we can get into it. We'll start to go. Really, the big story right now, and I know you're waiting to gloat as we watched Game 3 last night. Oh, you never.
I humbly inform you of your incorrectness.
Right. Lakers take a 2-1 lead last night. It's probably the most efficient game I've watched the Lakers play. They shot 58% from the field for the game. Obviously, LeBron played unbelievable. Yep. Best game in the playoffs this year, for sure.
Dude, like what's mind blowing to me is his 17th year, dude. It's insane.
To say it's next level is an insult to next level. Like it's multiple levels above what I thought he could honestly do. If you watch that game too, Ryan, like not only did he drop 36, they were difficult shots, dude. Like it wasn't like they were putting hands in his face. And the one knock on I've always had on LeBron is that, he goes away from his jumper whenever things get tight. And it was falling last night. Now, So first, I'll give you the floor. I will let you say what I know you're dying to say.
All I'm saying,
I will concede this
is the Rockets are good. Don't get me wrong. Okay, they're a good team.
Okay,
but I told you, and I continue to tell me, and you continue to just deny that they weren't going to beat LeBron. That LeBron is still the greatest player in the NBA right now. Don't even. Who would you have number one?
Makes my soul hurt.
Who would you put number one?
Kawhi Leonard.
No.
It'd be hard for me to dethrone that. Through the playoffs so far, LeBron James. Kawhi's, it's definitely an argument.
Kawhi's 2, for me. But I just think if you look at kind of like the completeness of a player, in particular, I mean, you gotta also add in context, right? Context of age, context of just how many games they've played. Like he's not only played 17 years, but he's also played in how many postseason games? Like he's added on probably 3 or 4 more seasons of just basketball because of his postseason runs. So like if you add that in, like Kawhi's great, don't get me wrong, but I think doing what LeBron's doing when he's doing it still makes him a better overall player than Kawhi. Because they could both dominate any game. They're both, phenomenal players.
Yeah, they do, and especially for LeBron, like you said, he's 5-6 years older than Kawhi too. Yeah. Like that's what's also unbelievable. So and just kind of getting back to that formula. Yeah, obviously, I think the Lakers I think they were rusty in game 1. Rockets came out. Pedal to the metal.
Such a long layover.
They had like 8 days off, I think. Yeah. And, the Rockets, one thing about the small ball is that they're mismatches for both teams. You run them off that 3-point line. That's really all you have to do. And the Lakers were very good at that last night. They were chasing people everywhere.
What's weird, though, is in the 2 games that the Rockets have lost, they've shot over 40% from 3. Mm-hmm. Granted, one of them, they shot like 53. And then
and last night they didn't shoot many threes. Let me look. I'm going to actually pull that stat.
I think it was.
Which was very weird. They were averaging 50. But that was a testament to how they were guarding everything around the perimeter.
In the one game that they won, they only shot 38 and they shot 35%. So like the notion that if they're shooting 40% from threes,
you're not beating
them is flawed, because like you said, if they're getting run off the line, they're not shooting as many threes. Like the Lakers are really long. So like you're not going to be able to do that. And if that's your game, then like, what do you look to? Like JaVale McGee had no points last night. Granted, he only played like 7 minutes.
He can't really be on the floor though. Cause like if he's not going to score, like who's he going to guard? Right. Like,
but even then,
so it's tough.
Even then, like, Rondo had 21?
So that's okay. So now we're getting into my point. Rondo hit 3 threes in the fourth. Caruso hit 2 threes in the fourth. You get 15. It's 82-82 in the fourth, and it looks they're disrespecting Rondo on a level I wouldn't think. Ryan, they didn't even. They just gave it to him, and Rondo just knocked it down, and there wasn't anybody within 10 feet from him.
Rondo doesn't have to play any games until he gets to the postseason.
That's apparently the case. Rondo had 22. I think he's going to win a scoring title next year. I mean, I'm literally, and then Caruso, I literally think the dude, he's a walking joke. It's like, it's worse than Dellavedova, but he's actually kind of good.
I don't know. Dellavedova was pretty bad.
Who would you take in a 7-game one-on-one series, Dellavedova or Alex Caruso?
I mean, I'm partial to Dellavedova, because he's
hit
so
some
scrappy,
shots.
It was more it was more like he'll put his body out there. Like he gives zero fucks about what happens to his body. So I'd probably lean his way, but I think Caruso is a better player.
Overall, probably. Dellavedova just really, really, he had a really good postseason that year too. Like when everybody got hurt and he was like, it was LeBron and some duct tape trying to keep the ship together.
It was against the Warriors.
Dellavedova,
and then, of course they lose to the Warriors when freaking Dellavedova is your second best player.
It was Steph. Dellavedova. Mozgov was probably their third best player. Timofey Mozgov was their third best player. Yeah, 1 year we averaged a double-double, and they were just like, "Oh, he's unreal. He's unstoppable.
He's
you can't touch him."
Big man.
So, all right, point to Ryan. How many games until the Lakers win this series? Is it going 6? Is it done in 5?
I'd say 6. It could get pushed to 7, but I don't think it will.
Right,
because it's 3-1. Or no, 2-1. They're 2-1 in game 4. 2-1. If the Lakers win tomorrow, I think it goes 6. If they lose tomorrow, I think it goes 7.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so you still giving the Rockets a little bit of.
Well, I think they'll win the first elimination game.
Yeah,
like if it's 3-1, you got to get a win. Like I think they'll be able to pull it out, but then I don't think they win after that, because then I think LeBron's like, okay, this is done.
My last point on the series, obviously, I mean, how much to say? LeBron and AD were amazing last night, and then they got a lot of step up from their role players. You take the ball out of James Harden's hands like they did last night. James had a great game. Eric Gordon, Westbrook is lost in this series. He has no clue what to do, has none. He even said, I got to watch film because, I don't know what to do, with how they're guarding him. And so you can eliminate.
I feel like Russell Westbrook is that a lot, though.
He's high energy, and if he's going downhill.
Yeah, I've just never watched him play a game and said, he knows what's going on, or he's
he knows
not like JR doesn't know what's going on, but he doesn't impose himself in a way that makes me think he's dictating the game. You know what I mean? He's just going.
They said it the best. He's a tornado.
Yeah.
He's a tornado. Don't know what's going to happen, but you're going to get energy. Tasmanian Devil. Yes. Meets a tornado. I love it.
In the league already?
Somebody does have that. Yeah. I don't know who it is, but that sounds really familiar. So we flop over. So we know the Bucks in the big turn of events getting sent home. Gave it a valiant effort.
Giannis
games
was
4 and 5.
I'm not playing game 5.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I took away from that is, and he's getting a lot of heat right now, and I'm gonna have to heap some more on him. Giannis, his jumper, I would literally almost puke every time I saw him pull up. It's the ugliest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I remember too,
it's hideous.
After last season, there was so much talk about him working on that. And
exactly.
He spent the entire offseason supposedly working on developing a better jump shot.
Mm-hmm. And where'd that work go? he will airball free throws. And then he'll hit 3 threes in a row. It's the weirdest.
It was like game 3 or something. He was like 4 of 12 from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There were dead balls taken because he would shoot it and he airballed 2 or 3. What that lets me know is, and I don't want to hear, I mean, the dude's 6'11". He's Akeem Olajuwon size, and he plays basically, if he's getting to the cup, he's the most unstoppable player in the NBA, reigning defensive player of the year. Like he's amazing at 25. It's insane how he's probably in the top 5 and he still is the most raw of any of these top players. He could still get better.
Well, I mean, I don't have him in my top 5 yet. I think he very well could be. Like, I think you can make an argument for him, but like, because of, I don't know, like, to me, I think he gets so much because he's on the Bucks. You know, like, he's not on a team like the Lakers or the Knicks or the Celtics, you know, where there's this history and this pedigree associated with their organizations. It's like, okay, nobody really expects or expected the Bucks to be any good, or especially not to be have the most wins in the league, you know, to be considered, you know, quote unquote, the best team in the league, which I think we need to go ahead and take that off of the table indefinitely.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
If you're going to get damn near swept by the Heat, you are not the best team in the league. You're a good team.
No,
you've got a really good player, but you are not the number 1 team in the league. And I think that needs to go out the window.
I agree. They're built for the regular season. Yeah. They're the best defensive team in the NBA. The Heat are very good too. Whenever you look at how the efficiency stacks up, the Bucks are unbelievable. When you've got Eric Bledsoe, who takes anybody one-on-one, great on-ball defender, and you basically, how they structured is you have Lopez. They had 3 of the top 10 all defensive players in the NBA, 2 on the first team, and Giannis and Bledsoe, and then Lopez makes the second team, and so they're unstoppable. The problem is when it comes to scoring, I like Chris Middleton,
and none of those players, like you said, they're built for the regular season. None of those players take it to a new level. You know, it's like
right.
They don't. Maybe Giannis has that capability. I haven't seen it, but maybe he has that capability to take it to the next level. But I don't see any of the other players and say, like, you know what, if when they get into the postseason they excel, like they up it, like somebody like LeBron does. You know, playoff LeBron is very different from regular season LeBron. Same thing with Kawhi, same thing with Paul George, but on the opposite side. Like, I equate Giannis to like a Paul George, great player, but you know, there's a lot of moments
Does he have
where you
it when it matters?
Question what he's actually going to be able to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I want to get to this list. So you have your top 10?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
So
if Giannis isn't in the top 5, this is going to be interesting.
After 5, I think I wouldn't necessarily say I have it in the order I would ultimately decide on. I kind of threw this together earlier, but I'm still pretty pleased with it. Like, I think it makes sense the way that it is, but I've got LeBron 1, Kawhi 2.
Okay.
I've got Luka 3.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. 4.
I've got Durant 4.
Really? This is very interesting.
I've got Steph 5. Then I've got my mind is then I'm going to speed through the rest. So then I've got Giannis.
Yes. Okay.
Giannis at 6, Damian Lillard 7, James Harden at 8, Anthony Davis.
What?
Wait, hold on. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. James Harden at 8, Anthony Davis at 9, and then Kyrie at 10 or Jokic at 10. I kind of threw those as a toss-up.
Okay. I thought I was going to have a huge problem with Giannis at 6. James Harden is 8th? James Harden is 8th.
Do you not?
Oh,
so let me ask you this.
I disagree.
I'm shocked.
I disagree.
So you don't think Damian Lillard is a better player than James Harden?
No, not at all. No, not at all. He's 5'11". There's no way I would take him over.
Where would you
There's
put him?
no way. He got hot. Okay.
So what's yours? Give me yours.
So if I'm just spitballing, I haven't really put this together. The list together, I was very interested. I'm going to react to yours really quick while I think of how I'm going to structure mine. Luka at 3 is very interesting. Mm-hmm. The kid's 22. Like, it's insane.
But I think watching him in his first postseason, you saw him take it to a new level. You saw him dominate. You saw him look like the best player on the floor against Kawhi and Paul George. Yeah.
You know,
he was very
the best
clearly,
perimeter defensive team.
He was very clearly a dominant player. Now, there's got to be consistency. That's why I say, this is the list right now.
Right.
There's got to be consistency there. But I think if that continues, he's easily a top 3 player in the league.
That's crazy. Okay, so LeBron, Kawhi, 1 and 2. You're not going to get argument from me really one way or the other. I get that. Giannis has to be 3. I mean, the dude, like, I can't look at all the things that Giannis does do and dismiss that. His jumper is heinous. It's disrespectful to the damn game. I
just don't see it, but man. He's like, Durant to me is still a better player than him.
So here's my thing. It's hard for me to rank Durant because Durant's 31 coming off of a big time injury. So it's like, I think we're going to get,
but until we see otherwise,
if Durant's, yes, but if I know what I'm getting and I know I'm getting Kevin Durant's the 2nd or 3rd best player in the NBA for me. Kevin Durant, I don't understand why he doesn't get the all time love that I feel like he should. But I could get off on a tangent on all of these. So I'm going either LeBron and Kawhi, Giannis. I'm going James Harden 4, bro. Like, I have to go James Harden 4. He changed the game. The dude, yeah, probably. He's starting to play defense. James Harden's a much better defender than he has been over the last couple of years. James Harden 4 steals last night. Dude's playing actual defense.
But I don't see him as a top 5 player in the NBA when you look at people that have been able to take it to a new level, unlike James Harden.
Who's James Harden had? Who's the best player on his team right now?
He's had Chris Paul. He now has Russell Westbrook.
Chris Paul was such a hard player for them to mesh with. Like, they have to both have the ball in their hands.
He's had Carmelo Anthony.
He's had.
That's all you need to know.
Anthony.
That's all you need to know.
Carmelo Anthony,
Melo, baby.
Melo. Okay, so let me put this out there. So LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, James Harden. I'm probably going to say Steph Curry 5 and Luka 6. Luka is it's very interesting for 3, and I like Luka a lot. I just got to see more. 22. He's had a great year, so I'd go Luka at 6. I'm probably going the Joker at 7, dude. Jokic does things, and he's the least athletic dude in the league. Like, it's unbelievable. You heard what he said. He was like, they were like, yeah, you're so patient with your game. And they were like, how do you be so patient? He's like, I'm not being patient. I'm slow and I can't jump high. So, like, I have to, like, know the game. Right. So, yeah, he's probably 7. I'll be honest. Dame's probably 8. I do like Damian Lillard a lot. Jason Tatum's 9 for me. Jason Tatum is unbelievable. I think he's going to be.
I had him, like, right outside. Because I agree. I think he's definitely climbing. You know what I mean? Like, I think last year was kind of like the breakout of him. What he can do wasn't as consistent. It was kind of spotty. This year has been entirely more consistent. He's not always the guy that is going to take over the game, though. And he is less. He disappears, like physically imposing, and kind of just like I said, just driving his will. But I think that's coming.
Right. I think it is too. He's 21.
Yeah.
The league's in good hands. We got a lot of young gunners out here. And probably, dude, Jamal Murray is up there for me too. Jamal Murray has been playing nuts. Donovan Mitchell's tough. I know they had the tit for tat series. That's kind of like that'd be my next level. I'm very interested. All right. So now we're getting to the
AD
now
or
we're
Kyrie
getting to
or anybody like that.
AD's probably 10. I have to think on the back end there. Just spitball on top of my head because I don't want to like forget anybody. But
I think there's a lot of people you could plug in there. That's why I was like, it's not necessarily maybe the exact last 5 of my top 10 that I would have if I really sat down with it. But I think the top 5 is kind of that more. Most people are pretty.
In agreement with it, I would say.
In agreement with like 1 through 3.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to look at it. Definitely want to look at it because
a lot of varying opinions on the bottom of that 5.
For sure. And Anthony Davis has to be in my top 10. So yeah, I got to think about this a little bit more. So
what's weird though, in all this, like we spent a lot of time talking about the NBA, obviously, but we've primarily been talking about 2 series. I thought about this earlier. I was like, is it just us? But it doesn't feel like very many people are even talking about the Clippers Nuggets series or the Celtics Raptors, which is going to go 7 games now.
Which is 7 games. Yeah. It just came down double overtime. Yeah. Literally, it's been probably the better set. They had an OG and Anunoby with that 3, and he hit that, and they won a game whenever they were down. I mean, like these have been more entertaining, but everybody was like, oh, the Bucks got upset, and then obviously the Lakers are the most popular team with the 2 stars. So yeah, really, it's not just us, man. I'm telling you, it's dominating the airwaves. So I'm pumped I've liked these playoffs. I've watched a good bit of them, and they've been good. So, all right, now getting into it. As you guys want it, you want to hear some picks. Ryan and I giving out some NFL stuff to start the year. Just general thoughts, expectations, anything surrounding week 1. It's going to be weird. No fans, pumping in crowd noise. Going to look different. I'm interested.
I think so. Going through a lot of the games, there's not a ton that really like strike me as super interesting, from a just standpoint out of the ordinary, I guess. I am curious to watch the Buccaneers Saints because I think it comes down to those 2 for the NFC South, and kind of seeing what Tom Brady still has, what he's able to do with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and like OJ Howard and just all the weapons that
Leonard
they have
Fournette now.
Leonard Fournette, and they have LaShawn McCoy on that roster too. Like
it's insane. It's nuts.
He's got a lot. He has more weapons now than he's ever had. So I'm curious to see what he still has left to see what the I guess the kind of ceiling is for the Bucs.
For sure, definitely. That game, obviously, I think that's probably the premier game. Cowboys Rams Sunday night is going to be fun.
Although I think the Rams are going to be very good.
See, I don't know. Like, there's such a high variance. Like, I could see them being great, or I could see them winning 5 games. Like, they've got studs all over the field, but
I feel like they'll be kind of in that average tier, like that kind of 9 and 7. They won't
where my Titans live.
Yeah. I've got that on my notes. Don't worry. Like they've got really good players, but for some reason they can't consistently put it all together.
Right.
So it just becomes just something that over the entire course of the season just doesn't work. So I think they'll be decent enough, but I think the Cowboys will be better. So I think the Cowboys will end up winning that game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do like the Rams at home that night. That'll be one I'd be interested to see. I'm really excited to kind of see what these broadcasts are going to look like. The bubble has made these NBA games not really feel like there's no one there. Like when you watch them, like it.
I feel like that's easy to do though with the NBA.
That's what I'm saying. Like exactly. I think that's going to be. I think they've kind of hidden the fact that there's no fans. How are you going to do that with 60, 70,000 seat stadiums? And, like they've talked about, and I think it's a really interesting point. I mean, they've talked about a lot that these, like, think about if there's not crowd noise, these defenses are going to pick up the cadences from these quarterbacks, and they're going to have to either use a lot of hand signals or they're going to have to install verbiage through the week and change it week to week. Like, it's going to be really interesting if there's no noise at all. Going to be very interesting. Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be it's going to be the NFL. Like tomorrow night, like Texans and Chiefs. I'm super excited to see that as a standalone game. Like, are they doing a Super Bowl ceremony and stuff like they typically do?
I would imagine so. Well, I mean, because usually they do that at the don't they do that at the Hall of Fame game?
That's usually when it's done, and they're not doing it now. But usually at halftime of that Thursday night game, it's almost always they'll pick like the Super Bowl winner plays that opening Thursday night. They're usually playing at home, and they'll at that point, they'll do some sort of ceremony. I would think it's just not going to be the same at Arrowhead.
Raise the banner and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm super, super pumped and excited. All right. Couple of predictions here. So Ryan and I were looking at the divisions. We had a breakdown and we said, hey, couple picks that we're going to give out. You got to give out a long shot to win a division. So long shot to be represented in the playoffs. Ryan, I will let you go first with your wisdom.
So I will be remiss if I didn't this isn't my pick. Okay. But I'll be remiss if I didn't throw my Browns out as potential very, very, very long shot chance to win
to come out of the North.
Yes, just because I think the Steelers will be, as long as Ben's healthy, I think they'll be much improved from last year, and then I think the Ravens will actually be a little bit worse this year. I mean, it's hard to sustain that, but I still think those are the two teams to really beat, and we'll see what the Browns can do. But anyways, my I guess underdog pick. They do get a lot of love, but I've got the Colts winning the AFC South.
Very kind of jumbled at the top. I get it. The Titans are what they are. Deshaun Watson gets paid.
Every team in that division, rather, is kind of that same
mold.
They're going to win probably 10 games at most, like on a given year. But I look at the Colts, and I have fewer questions about the Colts than I have about the other teams in that division. The fucking Jaguars just decided to blow it up. So they're completely out of my picture when I look at that.
Probably the worst team in the league. Yeah,
I would think so. And then you look at like the Titans, and the Titans are generally that 9-7, 8-8. They just flirt with a winning season. Pretty regularly, and they have a lot of, they've got a lot of really good players. Derrick Henry's a stud. Ryan Tannehill is really good. I think he gets
AJ Brown.
He's under kind of underappreciated, but you got AJ Brown. Corey Davis is really good. They have really good players, and then signing Clowney. They're good defensive team. They're a decent offensive team. But again, they just can't really put it together consistently over the course of an entire season, which leaves them in that 9-7 mix. And I think that's where they'll ultimately be again this year. And then Houston, I'm torn because, Deshaun Watson's really good. They got Brandon Cooks. David Johnson is still a really good back. But you get rid of Hopkins. I don't see them really putting it together this year again.
It's going to look really weird whenever your weapons are Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks, who if Brendan Cooks gets one more concussion, he's probably going to have to retire. So it's
And I think even then, I look at what the Colts have done kind of since last year. You've got Phillip Rivers now at quarterback, which is a huge upgrade.
Massive.
You've got a healthy T.Y. Hilton, so long as he can stay healthy. Paris Campbell has been just blowing up this preseason, kind of like in training camps and everything. The staff loves him. He's going to be opposite. Your offensive line is solid, with Quentin Nelson kind of being that anchor on it. And Ryan
one
Kelly
of the best two or three. Yes. One of the best 2 or 3 lines in football for sure.
And then you've got Marlon Mack, who's really good. And you've got Jonathan Taylor now from the draft.
Jonathan Taylor.
And, you've got now a 2-back system where one person's not having to take the brunt of it. You can mix and match. And I think your offense is better equipped there. And then defense, dude, they've got a top 5 linebacker in Darius Leonard. Yep. They've got a top 5 cornerback in Xavier Rhodes. And I think Malik Hooker being healthy is big because I still think he's a really solid safety. And then you've got DeForest Buckner.
Take him from the Niners.
They got a lot of really, really good pieces for a team that was 7-9 last year. So they were kind of like right there. I think they take that kind of leap. I have them having 11 wins this year.
Really? Yeah.
I think
that's big.
They'll be a really good team this year, I think.
So good, concise analysis. As a Titans fan, I definitely
it's not concise, but I appreciate that.
No, I thought it was. Like, you gave a rundown of every one of the teams in the division. I liked it. You're dead nuts right with the Titans. I mean, it's just going to be, they're going to be 7-9 or 9-7 in that window. The Texans, I think, are going to be actually,
at least they're not getting shit on, literally.
Hey, oh my God, dude, I listened to that interview today on that podcast. Oh my God. She was like, I'm not going to say any names, Odell. And they were like, oh my God. And they were just like, she was saying, bro, she was like, this is all allegedly, of course. But she was like, yeah, he was texting her saying don't shower for 24 hours. Basically he was wanting her to send him pics of her on the toilet. Yeah, bro. Nuts.
I don't know.
It's far fetched, but yeah.
I side with my guy Primetime in calling
what did Dion say?
He called it Dookie Gate. It's Dookie Gate, baby. Dookie Gate 2020. Man,
oh my God!
It's all lies to just continue to just fuck the Cleveland Browns franchise.
Because they'll do that plenty on their own. You don't have to help them. I mean, they've got that covered on their own. So yeah, I think the Texans are actually going to be pretty bad. I'm not a believer in that. I think Nuke was huge for what they tried to do. And, I could see them winning 5 games, and then Jacksonville's bad. So I think the Colts are definitely a good play to come out of that division.
Honestly, just really don't like Bill O'Brien either, for what it's worth.
No, the players don't either. There's a lot of rumblings that they all kind of hate him. And he has so much power. He's the GM too. It's nuts. I have no clue why they would. Yeah, I don't really like Bill O'Brien either. So my pick, I'm going, we go big or go home with these predictions. So for the NFC North, I'm rolling with the Detroit Lions to come out of a very stacked division.
Very bold.
Very bold.
5 wins last year.
Yes, actually they had 3. And here's why. So Stafford gets hurt. His wife has that ailment. And she's sick, and that he calls it quits. So Straub comes in, and Jeff Driscoll. And, they go 1-6 in that stretch to end the season. If you look at Matt Stafford's numbers before that, so in the 7 games that he played, he had 19 touchdowns and 5 picks. Now, not saying he definitely would have duplicated those, but that's 40 touchdowns and 10 picks at that rate. So Matt Stafford is still a dog. Sleeper pick. Matt Stafford right now is 9-1 to win comeback player of the year. Sprinkle some cash on that. It's like Big Ben. Big Ben's 1. Todd Gurley's 2, and then Matt Stafford's 3. And I look at that team they've got Kerryon Johnson, who is also hurt. They were riddled with injuries. Kerryon Johnson was hurt. He's going to be back. They obviously got DeAndre Swift in the second round this year. Then you look at Taylor Decker, just signed a huge, massive deal with them, who I didn't know this. Do you know Taylor Decker hasn't missed a start in 5 years?
He's a stud. Dude.
Nuts.
He's a stud.
He's just an anchor on that line, protecting the blind side. So, really like him. Obviously, they've got a very young defense. It's going to be interesting, but playing inside of a dome, I'm big on the Lions this season. I think they're going to be really good.
I think they'll be improved. Like, I don't think there's any way to not be improved. But
coming from 3 wins.
Right. But I just don't I don't think they'll be so much improved that they will beat the Packers for that division. I think they'll be second. I think they'll pass up the Bears or the Vikings. Sorry, and the Bears for that matter. I mean, they were last year. So, but the Packers are just going to. I feel like it's hard for me to bet against Aaron Rodgers if he still has good players like Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones around him.
Well, what's going to be interesting for me is, and this is more so a bet against these other teams because I'm down on all of the other ones. You look at Minnesota. Minnesota has a great roster. They really do. One of the best in the NFL. They have, if you look over the last 2 years, they've had the least amount of injuries of any team in the NFL. Yeah. So they've had some really good fortune. They've had some really healthy years, and that doesn't happen. So I think they're at least, if they're not going to be having, a bunch of injuries around the team, they're not going. I don't think that's going to continue. Like, they're not going to have all of their starters playing week in and week out. I'm as low on the Bears as anybody could. Trubisky or Nick Foles is not the answer, and so they can get after the passer. And it's
Trubisky beat out Nick Foles should tell you all you need to know about Nick Foles.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I couldn't have said it any better. Trubisky is the starter still.
Yeah.
And so,
they're paying him, they're paying Nick Foles what?
Bread.
They're paying him like $16 million?
Yes.
Something like
bread.
That.
He hadn't done anything in 4 years.
He played one game and won a Super Bowl because he played one game.
Yes.
He played more than one
it's
game
unreal.
That postseason. But
if you go back, yes, exactly. If you go back to that playoff run, Julio, the Falcons, it's 9-6. They were down 4. It was 10-6. They're on the 5-yard line, 1st and goal in Philadelphia, and 4 plays couldn't get it in the end zone. We're not even talking about any of this whenever Carson Wentz gets hurt, if that's the case. So I'm down on them. Green Bay is it could go either way. I think either Aaron Rodgers is going to say, I got something to prove. I'm going to chip on my shoulder. They took Love. Or it could be Aaron Rodgers saying, yeah, I'm out. Like, after this year, like, I'm done. Like, you're going to draft my replacement. Okay. I'm not going to be Favre. That's my thought.
I still think they believe he's got, they want to groom him. They want to groom, who'd they draft? Help me out.
Bryce Love.
Yes. They want to groom Bryce Love the same way they groomed Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on. It's not Bryce Love. Bryce Love's the running back from Stanford. Hold on. It's something Love. Jordan Love.
Yes.
I said that. I was like, that's not Bryce.
We were close.
Yeah, we were on there. It's late. We're burning the midnight oil right now.
I think they want to do the same thing they did with him because it worked. Give him 3 or 4 years under the tutelage of a great quarterback, and then groom him out, groom Aaron Rodgers out. But I don't think he's in, because he still has a lot left, and I don't think you go from a 13-win season to a sub-10 season.
Well, here's the really interesting stat. In games that were decided 1 possession or less, Green Bay last year was 6-1.
Yeah.
So
why do you think
law
that
of
is?
averages? Well, listen, so it's usually a regression to the mean, and it's usually on those coin flip games. Usually if I think that they really were about a 9 or a 10 win team, and they played well down the stretch. And I think a factor of that is definitely Rodgers being clutch. But I think if they continue to play close games, I think it's going to be a really stacked. It is a stacked division.
That's tough to say though, because a lot of teams have a lot of 1 possession games. It's the NFL. Like there's not a lot of blowouts, double-digit blowouts.
There's not, but for sure, 6-1 in those spots. That's pretty fortunate. I'm not going to say
average.
For sure. I'm not going to say luck, but we'll see. That's why they play the games.
Matthew Stafford does not have my. I don't believe in him as much. Honestly, too, I thought about this when I was doing the AFC South stuff, but who I think is the kind of next Matthew Stafford is Deshaun Watson.
Really?
Guy that comes in, puts up fantastic numbers, is a really, really good quarterback, but can never kind of cross that threshold and be on it. Maybe it's partly team dynamic, coaching, whatever, but there's a lot of factors that have to play in and create that. But I don't think the Texans, I don't think Deshaun Watson will ever be like a 13, 14 win team taking them to the Super Bowl,
probably
and
not.
That's been Matt Stafford. They're 9, 10 wins, 11 wins, maybe. But they're generally 9, 10 wins, 10-6. That's a really good season. You'll probably be in the wild card at the very least, but you're not taking that kind of next step like an Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, or, in his kind of, I guess, quarterback class, I see him as that kind of Matthew Stafford role.
Gotcha. I could see that. That's a fair, and he got paid too.
Yeah, really good fantasy quarterback though.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. He could play for me any day of the week. All right. So we're a little long in the tooth. All right. Week 1 picks. So you got our division picks. Week 1 underdog picks. We're going to roll with 1 a week. Just give them to you. You guys want to go out there, see how we do. Ryan, who's your dog for week 1 that you're taking?
So my dog is the Bengals.
Ooh.
+3 against the Chargers.
Interesting. I think they'll be juiced. Joey B's first game.
Yeah. One,
got a West Coast team.
Back home state, playing not in front of the home crowd, but playing for the home crowd,
Right.
They're, like I said, again, being at home, to get AJ Green back. Tyler Boyd came on really strong last year. I think he's going to have a really good season as well.
Joe
Mixon, who top 10 running back in the league, I would say. Defensively, it'll be decent, but I think more so too, it kind of falls into, some of what the Chargers are kind of losing as well.
Tyrod Taylor, not really
a drop off.
Yeah, for sure.
How will he and Keenan Allen operate together? We'll see.
Be interesting.
And Derwin James got re-injured again.
Saw that. Is he going to give it a go, or is he out?
I thought he was out. He maybe isn't.
I saw that he was injured. I didn't know if he was going to play.
I know that's tough because he's so good.
He's the best. He and Jamal Adams, 2 best safeties in football for sure.
Jalen Ramsey. I would put Jalen Ramsey in there too.
Yeah. Well, Jalen Ramsey's more of a corner, isn't he?
Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, I would say.
I always confuse Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James position-wise because they both came out of Florida State.
Right. Jalen Jalen Ramsey played a lot of safety at Florida State too.
Yeah,
so I remember whenever he was thumping people. I'm going.
Too.
Yeah. Oh God, he's got
$21 million a year.
Mm-hmm. So I'm rolling with going out on a limb here again too. I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals +7 against the Niners. So
looked up defense, bro.
Look here, you would think that segues perfectly into my point. So looked at some stuff on Pro Football Focus. So 16 games played in a season. If you take so whenever you're looking at that, with there being 32 teams, give or take, every team's playing 16 games. So each week to week, on average, 16 games. 16 times 16, 252. Actually, it's 256.
Jayden, can you stop saying 16?
16.
You said it like 7 times right in a row.
Looking for revenge.
Like play 16-game season,
oh,
and then it's 16 times 16, and it's 2016, and there's 16 seasons. And
you just need to understand the math that's coming out of my head. Long story short, in every year, there's 256 offensive performances. So you have that. Multiply that by 2, because each team has an offensive performance in each game. So it's 512. Of the top 5 best offensive performances in 2019, the Cardinals against the Niners were those 2 games that they played. The Cardinals were the most offensive efficient. Cliff Kingsbury knows what's going on and how to play that San Francisco defense.
How did they fare in those games?
Oh, they covered, and that's all we got to do. They covered both. They did not win outright.
That's more what I was going for, but
well, yeah. So yeah, that didn't work. But they were both high scoring events. I'm not a big believer in Jimmy G either. I mean, I
agree with that.
That they're a very run style team. If they're going to be with Mostert, with Coleman. I mean, they've got just a lot of. I think they're going to chew the clock, and I think with a high scoring team that's looking to put up some points. Unbelievable that people aren't talking about DeAndre Hopkins going there as much as much as they have.
I think you look at, because everybody's talking about Christian Kirk.
Yeah,
coming on strong this year. He came on strong last year. He had a good season last year. Don't get me wrong, but you now have DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh my God!
And I'm sorry, but if you take some pressure off of Larry Fitzgerald because you're putting it on DeAndre Hopkins, Fitz is going to have a fucking good year.
Going to go off. Didn't Fitzgerald had like 900 yards last year, didn't he?
Yeah. He was not bad by any stretch. And I think people they think he's old and they think, but he's like Frank Gore, dude. Like Frank Gore just continues to come in and have 1,000-yard seasons. Year in and year out. I actually saw a tweet the other day that was like, what's going to come first? Frank Gore retiring from the NFL or Frank Gore Jr. Playing his first game in the NFL? What's going to happen first? Because he just started college. So what's going to happen first? Oh my God. That's really interesting. I'm going to put my money on Frank Gore. Definitely. On Junior. I don't know. We'll have to see how that shakes out. So, all right, we went really long. So this can be our extended version because we had a lot to talk about with the NFL coming back for sure. So Ryan, super exciting stuff starting Monday. This is what I'm more pumped than anything about. Let them know what we're going to be doing. You mean coming Sunday? Sunday. What I say? Monday and Sunday. Yeah. Sunday. Red Zone does not happen on Mondays, sir. If it did, that would get. I mean, you'd be at work, wouldn't get shit done. Yeah. Yeah. So Sunday, obviously, it is the inaugural week of NFL football, which means it's the inaugural week of NFL Red Zone. So every Sunday, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be live streaming during Red Zone. Would love to actually stream Red Zone, so still looking into the possibility of being able to do that alongside our video streams. But if not, no harm, no foul. We'll still be covering the games, kind of the action, what's going on. We're going to be drafting teams that play within that window, and Chayton and I will be going head to head against one another in fantasy football for those players. So we'll actually get started, I think maybe 15 minutes before.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that's plenty of time. And
For
we
sure.
will roll all the way through the witching hour and the beginning of the afternoon games. So we're going to be playing a drinking game. We're having a good old time, talking shit, talking football. My dogs will be barking. Chayton's going to a buddy's house. My wife's got some questions about football that we're going to sit down and answer, which will be fantastic because those are.
I can't wait for that. That might be my
number one
favorite
question.
part.
Do you want to know what the number one thing she wants to ask?
Oh, I yes,
and not just us. She wants to ask like an actual like football player. But turf turds.
Turf turds.
You know what turf turds
like
are?
Like the beads and stuff that come up on
they're called turf turds because I mean at least that's what they called them when she was in band because she was in competitive marching band and so they were always on like their championship was at Lucas Oil, so like they would always have turf turds like in their shoes, and so she wants to ask somebody that plays football like how frustrating are turf turds. Like,
I'll bet they would piss me off for sure.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
She's got some out there questions for us that'll be fun to kind of chat and talk about. But I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All that being said, 85 Yards is brought to you by the Buckeye Scoop Podcast Network. So it's a network of podcasts all kind of created and joined together by a group of insiders within the Ohio State University football program, as well as basketball and other sports. But they created their site, buckeyescoop.com, to bring the most up-to-date and accurate information possible to fans. So go check them out. Check out all the podcasts on their podcast network. It's all fantastic content, and you will not be disappointed. Our logo, 85 Yards, is brought to you by Cousin Bougie. CousinBougie.com has fantastic artwork available. Go check them out. It's really, really unique, inspiring, very artistic stuff. And it's relevant. It's all relevant to stuff going on in the real world. And it's just fun. Like it's something different. So go check them out. It's CousinBougie.com, CousinBougie.com. Bougie spelled Boujee.
Excellent. All about it, brother. Good talking to you. Hey,
85 Yards.
85Y.
85Y, baby.
Hey, have fun at that wedding, bud.
I will. I'm going to start early. I'm getting on a party bus at like 12. So it's going to be a long day. So I got to actually edit this and mix it and do all that kind of stuff tonight.
Do all that,
fantastic. So we're going to get off here. Thanks for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this extended version of 85 Yards. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers, buddy.